On the first day of July 1916, over 100,000 British soldiers climbed from their trenches across the Somme. By evening, 57,000 were casualties, the bloodiest day in British military history. Yet the story of trench warfare extends far beyond that catastrophic morning. Welcome to Clear Lens History, where we cut through the fog of time to reveal the unbiased truths of the past. Using data-driven insights, we explore pivotal events that shaped our world. Be sure to hit the like button and subscribe to Clear Lens History for more content like this. In today's episode, we shall examine daily life in the Great War trenches through soldiers' diaries, military records, and archaeological evidence. We'll uncover how armies adapted to unprecedented conditions and explore the realities behind popular perceptions of trench warfare. By late 1914, the race to the sea had concluded mobile warfare on the Western Front. What began as temporary defensive positions evolved into permanent networks stretching 475 miles from the English Channel to the Swiss Alps. The system developed into three distinct tiers. Frontline trenches housed combat troops, support trenches for supplies, and reserve trenches for rest. Communication trenches connected these networks, creating underground thoroughfares. German positions were particularly sophisticated, featuring concrete reinforcement, electric lighting, and multi-level dugouts capable of sheltering entire companies. British soldier Charles Ward described the construction. Every trench was originally built by soldiers with sandbags filled with ordinary soil, tied and stacked one atop the other. British forces named their trenches after familiar London landmarks. Major intersections became Piccadilly Circus, whilst communication trenches bore names like Regent Street or Bond Street. This system served both practical navigation and psychological comfort, bringing a touch of home to foreign soil. Life in the trenches followed strict routines designed around survival. Each day commenced before dawn with Stand To, every man manning his firing position during the period most favored for enemy attacks. Soldiers did not, contrary to popular belief, inhabit frontline trenches continuously. War Office records reveal that troops typically spent 4 to 8 days in forward positions before rotating to support roles or rest areas. A typical British soldier usually spent 10 days per month in the most perilous positions. Walter Hare of the West Yorkshire Regiment first entered the trenches in December 1916. "I couldn't believe it. I was knee-deep in mud for a start. I'd never been told about the Somme and the mud. Conditions were genuinely harsh. Private Harry Drinkwater observed, 'Rats as big as cats,' feeding throughout the trench systems." Trench foot afflicted over 20,000 British soldiers by 1915. The Army Medical Service developed countermeasures including waterproof boots and mandatory sock changes. Rations consisted chiefly of tinned beef, hardtack biscuits, and tea. Soldiers improvised ingeniously, employing empty artillery shells as cooking vessels. Trench warfare created a deadly environment, dominated by snipers, artillery, and poison gas. No man's land, the area between opposing trenches, varied from 25 meters at Vimy Ridge to over a kilometer in some sectors. Artillery caused approximately 70% of all World War I casualties, making this fundamentally an artillery war. The German army alone fired over 222 million shells during the conflict, while British forces expended 170 million shells on the Western Front. French NCO Guy Fenetrier described the monotonous reality. "Our life was this. From the beginning of the day until the night, we were eating, sometimes some bread, chocolate, cheese, and smoking, firing at the Germans. Sometimes we received a few bombs, and that was life. Shell shock affected soldiers across all armies. By 1918, over 80,000 British soldiers had been treated for shell shock symptoms, though military medical corps initially struggled to understand these psychological casualties. Trench warfare even spurred remarkable innovation. Communication proved vital for survival, with soldiers employing telephone lines, signal lamps, carrier pigeons, and even messenger dogs to maintain contact with command posts. Artillery tactics evolved from direct fire to sophisticated indirect bombardment, employing mathematical calculations. Counter-battery techniques developed to target enemy guns, whilst creeping barrages coordinated infantry advances. Medical care also advanced under pressure. Casualty clearing stations improved wound treatment, whilst early understanding of shell shock began challenging traditional military attitudes towards psychological casualties. Mining became a significant component of trench warfare. Specialist tunneling companies would excavate beneath enemy trenches, pack them with explosives, and detonate them to breach enemy lines. Private Ronald Goff discovered moments of humanity amid the horror, writing from the trenches. "I am sitting in the trenches composing this, and the birds are all singing, the cuckoo in particular. One can only thank God for the escapes that one has every day." Despite propaganda portraying enemies as monsters, remarkable moments of humanity emerged. The Christmas truce of 1914 saw British and German soldiers meet in no man's land, exchanging gifts and playing football. Entirely spontaneous ceasefires arranged by individual soldiers. German Lieutenant Johannes Niemann wrote, "The English officers felt the same way about it as we did. We shared chocolate and cigarettes, and for a few hours we were just men, not enemies." Live and let live arrangements developed in quieter sectors, where opposing forces tacitly agreed to avoid unnecessary aggression during routine activities. These informal agreements demonstrated soldiers' shared understanding of their impossible situation. Life in the trenches revealed both human vulnerability and remarkable adaptability. Through soldier diaries and military records, we see how armies evolved new forms of warfare while men endured unthinkable conditions. The trench systems of World War I were more than defensive positions. They were complex military infrastructure that drove innovation in tactics, technology, and medicine. From rotation systems that preserved fighting strength to communication networks that coordinated massive operations, trench warfare demonstrated military adaptation under extreme pressure. Join us in Part 2 as we examine the major battles that attempted to break the deadlock and explore how the war finally ended. Thanks for watching Clear Lens History. Subscribe for more data-driven explorations of the past.